Hi, welcome to this chess video about the Orangutan chess opening. I've brought my Excalibur Alexandra the Great chess computer, and we're gonna practice the Orangutan chess opening against this Excalibur by Alexandra. My name is Sander Smit. I'm the author of the book The Orangutan, and this explains how to play the Orangutan. It shows you diagrams of all the best moves of the. I'm personally someone who really likes diagrams, so I have a lot of these little. If the other player does this, then go there diagrams. About this chess computer that I brought, it's the Excalibur Alexandra the Great, and it's named after Alexandra Kostenyuk, the GM, famous GM, and she has a very nice YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't seen her YouTube channel, please go visit. I'll put a link in the description below. Well, let's start the Alexandra chess computer. I'm first gonna clear. And go to level.
Select your level.
We're going to select the chess level. Currently it's at fixed time, hard mode, and 30 seconds. Well, that's absolutely fine with me, so let's use that.
Clear.
We'll clear.
Hello, I am Alexandra, your computer opponent.
We'll start a new game. I also have the lead chess engine up here. I haven't turned the engine on, but we're going to play the same game, so we record all the steps, and then afterwards we can have a look at how well we did, so we can analyze our game. The Orangutan always starts with B2 to B4, so we play our B4 pawn.
E7, E5.
And well, Alexandra does a very standard response, E7 to E5.
E7, E5.
Our Orangutan or Polish opening is a flank opening, so it's on we attack from the side. And the standard second move in the Orangutan that usually is played is bishop
C1.
to B2, so we place our bishop here.
D6.
I'm gonna do the same on the lead chess so we can see. It's probably a little easier for you to see this lead chess board. Alexandra now plays a move that's not in the main line of the Orangutan. The main line would be to take with this bishop and take this pawn, and then it's called the exchange variation, and we take that other pawn, and that's basically we start a little attack against the G7 pawn and the H8 rook, and well, if black, for instance, would develop their B8 knight to C6 to attack our bishop, that would be on E5 at that moment, then we would be able to take the G7 pawn and later take the H8 rook, and basically the other player would already be lost. Well, that's not happening here, of course. Alexandra plays a much safer move, and that safe move is
D7, D6.
D6, just protecting the E5 pawn. Absolutely fine move, of course. And in this instance, we do a bit of a different move than most of the other lines. Most of the other lines, we push this pawn, we start to develop this knight, and we start to develop this bishop over here. And those are usually our follow-up moves, but because we have a left side, the queen side of the board that is now very safe for us, we can just put a second pawn there.
C2, C4.
That's a very...
Pawn G7, G6.
G7, G6.
G7, G6.
Looks like she is getting ready to fianchetto her bishop over there. Well, that's absolutely fine with us. We just continue our normal, more normal Orangutan moves.
E2, E3.
e2, e3 is a very
Bishop
standard
f8,
move.
g7.
Standard position for that pawn. The idea of moving this pawn is that now our queen as well as the other bishop have free room to move. C is playing f8. Yeah, fianchettoing our
f8,
bishop.
g7.
So that's a little bit what we expected at this point. It's a little bit scary because our two bishops are only separated by that one pawn. So if she moves that pawn, I have to remember that my bishop and my rook isn't safe. But for now, we are fine. It's safe. It's not an immediate threat, but just something to keep in mind. We move our bishop to e2.
f1, e2.
Normally, if the other player starts to develop their kingside knight, then I also develop my kingside knight first. But because that one isn't developed yet, I first do put the bishop in its orangutan position. And as you can see,
e8,
the computer is
a6.
thinking a little bit more now. It's not using its opening memory anymore, but it's really thinking about the moves now. It starts to develop this.
e8, a6.
This really shows what a difficult opening the orangutan is for black, because normally you would, of course, put that knight on c6, not a6. But because of those pawns, it's not that good to develop to a6 or to c6. There's just not enough room to escape anymore if the pawns get pushed. Of course, at this point, I still want to push that b4 pawn, but first I need to protect it.
d1, e3.
So I bring in the queen. Usually in the orangutan, the standard position for the queen to develop to would be c2. Now it's just one square further at b3. But it's also quite a common way to develop the left side, the queen side, for that real queen side. We want to have that queen side to be ours. c7, c5. Okay.
c7, c5.
You can see Alexandra doesn't really like our queen side. It's a very powerful queen side that we have. So she starts immediately attacking it. But we can still do our moves that we were planning, namely the
e4, e5.
b5 pawn push. That's why we brought in the queen. And let's see what Alexandra will do against that. She's really thinking quite hard. As you can see, this opening is a little bit different than most openings, but it's a very solid and good opening to play.
Knight a6, c7.
Let's see, a6. Oh, a6, sorry. A6, of course, to c7. Well,
a6, c7.
We're really pushing Alexandra back, so that's good. People usually don't like going back, but it's basically her only option at this point. We push that b5 pawn, and the queen is there to keep everything safe and give the knight very little room to walk. We're just gonna strengthen our forward over there
A2, A4,
with a little a4 pawn push. Let's see what Alexandra will do against her strong queen side. As you can see, we really have an advantage here over the queen side. And yeah, well, Alexandra, yes, he piagetted her bishop, but other than that, she doesn't have very much going for it. She cannot move the e5 pawn, because then we will take the bishop and then the rook, so that's not safe.
knight G8, E7.
The c7 knight is not very happy. The g8 knight wasn't even developed yet. Well, ours wasn't either, a g knight, but now see what developed.
G8, E7.
Knight, so that's knight to e7. Should we also do our knight development? No, I'm gonna
A4, A5.
push the pawn. I really want to have the dominance over that side of the board. And Alexandra will not, probably not like that. What's Alexandra gonna do? Develop the bishop or castle, perhaps?
Castle, king, E8, G8.
Yes, he's gonna castle.
E8, G8. Please move my rook or me. H8, F8.
Okay, so that's... Well, it's a safe side for her. Well, now we are gonna develop our
G1, F3.
our little knight. That looks good. So that's also a standard position for the knight, and we don't have to fear that e5 pawn, because well, not, let's say we don't have to fear it too much. Because if we if that pawn moves to attack our knight, we can just
Pawn
attack with our
B7,
bishop, the other
B6.
bishop, and he can then take our knight, because we can then take his rook. So it's still safe for now. B7, B6. Okay.
B7, B6.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. There's a special situation here. I can just take that pawn. He can take back with his pawn, of course. He will probably take our rook then, but our rook is protected. If he doesn't take our rook, for a human player that would be often a situation where he would take our rook, but in this case a chess computer will not overlook such a move. So well, I'm just gonna do it.
A5, B6.
That's the nice sound effects I was talking about. So C pushed at move 10 to B6. I took. Thinks he's gonna take back, because the knight otherwise has nowhere to go. And then we're just gonna take that rook. And the rook is defended by the knight, but then the knight
Pawn
would be in
A7 takes. Pawn
not a very bad
B6.
position. Let's see, A7,
A7,
B6.
B6.
So he took indeed our pawn. Yeah, just gonna take that rook.
A1, A8.
Could also keep it on the other side and then wait, but in this case, I really like that to take back, he has to put the knight in the most horrible spot on the entire board, the corner. So that's always a good good location, especially with the b6 pawn there, so that there's only one place afterwards to go to. Basically, he has to take it. Otherwise, it would be up a rook. He's not going to let that happen.
C7 takes rook A8.
Yes.
C7 A8.
Well, that makes sense. So what are we going to do? Let's just castle.
E1 G1. Please move your rook. H1 F1.
Okay, so what happened? He took back. I took back. He took back that rook with the knight, and after that I castled. So that's where we are right now. I really like this display with the timer, so you can always see it's just gonna take 2 more seconds. Very nice.
Knight A8 C7.
No, of course.
A8 C7.
The knight in the most horrible position on the entire board is not good, so she develops that back to c7, but that's taking a tempo, so that's good for us. I'm just going to develop my knight.
E1 C3.
Copying her behavior, basically. And as you can see, I clearly have more space on the board. My king is nicely castled. Her king is also nicely castled, but I think I have a little better position. It's maybe not a huge difference yet.
C8 E6.
C8 to E6. Is he gonna do some strange attack? Let's see.
C8 E6.
C8 to E6. Nothing too scary over there yet. I'm just gonna attack the pawn.
C3 A4.
Looks like a nice way to take that b6 pawn. And she will have to come up with some way to defend that.
Pawn E5 E4.
I'm not gonna defend it.
E5 E4. Be careful.
Be careful. That's the nice thing about this chess computer. It warns us. Well, we have to, of course, be careful because of those two bishops. And well, our bishop is still defended, but it's a little bit of a scary situation because you might overlook it. Especially when the rook was still behind it. That's not the case at this point, but still, it's slightly scary situation. Okay, so what do we do? Because our bishop is still defended, I think I'm just gonna save the knight. And I can save the knight by moving forward.
F3 G5.
Creating an attack and creating some counterplay. It's a reasonably safe spot. I can always push my h pawn if need be. And I'm at the same time attacking that e4 pawn and bishop on e6. So that's nice.
Pawn D6
What she does?
D5.
D6 D5. D6 D5.
D6 D5.
starting to attack our pawns. I don't like that. I'm not going to worry about it immediately. And first I'm
E2. G7.
first attack that. So at least that situation is then resolved, and I can use the queen for the pawn problem. He will probably just take back with his king. This is really no other proper way.
King G8 takes bishop G7.
G8
G8.
takes G7, of
G7.
course. Let's just take the B6 pawn.
A4. E6.
It's still a hanging pawn, and it creates a bit more of a threat. And the knight is absolutely safe there. So, and the knight can take back the c4 pawn if it gets attacked, or attack the d5 pawn and is still defended. So that's a good position, that b6 square for our knight.
Bishop E6. F5.
E6, F5. Let's see what is he gonna do. E6 to F5.
E6. F5.
Okay, let's put also on the other screen, and let's think about this move for a moment. It's just getting out of harm's way from our knight, but it's not attacking our knight, so let's just
C4. D5.
take that pawn. Right, we'll have it. It's defended 3 times, but we can just exchange it, it's not a problem. And we also have some defenders over there. We have the queen, we have the knight, so of course it's
Knight
2
E7
against
takes
3.
pawn D5.
Let's see, E7.
E7. D5.
D5.
Be careful.
Be careful, because of course our knight is now under attack. The b6 knight. I can just take back, it's not a problem.
E6. D5.
Just a bit of material exchange, that's okay. He will have to take back also with his knight. And then of course I cannot just take back. But I can bring in my my bishop. And then I have 2 attackers again, so that's nice.
Knight C7 takes knight D5. C7. D5.
That of course makes sense. Well, I'm just gonna
E2. C4.
create this little battering ram that's not just pointing at that knight, but also it's pointing at the little castle over there. The castle we really like to attack. Of course, her queen can take my knight, but then I take her knight, so that's also an equal exchange.
Queen D8 takes knight G5.
D8 takes. Oh, she's actually gonna do that.
D8 G5.
So after this a knight moved, of course, our knight wasn't completely safe anymore. But well, I can just take the other knight, so it's not
C4 D5.
not an issue. Material-wise, we're quite equal. I have one pawn more. That free pawn that we took. But also I have a very nice passed pawn on b5. And I'm not very scared of that c5 pawn, so I think I'm quite ahead at this moment. Because of my control of the queen sides. G5, F6. Let's see what she does. G5, F6. Nice thing about chess computers is they battle till the end. Even if they're very much losing. So they'll just continue for quite a bit and then put up quite a fight, no matter what. Yeah, I'm just gonna push that pawn.
E5, E6.
It's past pawn, and I just need to get it across. That's all we need to do at this point. And if she starts defending like crazy on that side, I can just checkmate the king on the other side. So, and my king is very safe. So I don't see any real threats there at the moment.
Rook F8, B8.
F8, B8. No, of course.
F8, B8.
Rook to B8. Well, of course, that makes sense. We can do that too.
F1, B1.
Very symmetrical position. Except that my pawn is much further than her pawn. And I have one pawn more, so that's nice. She is thinking hard.
Queen F6, E7.
F6 to E7.
F6, E7.
Okay. No, I can just push the pawn.
E6, E7.
Regardless, of course, she has two defenders on that piece, but I have two attackers, so I have two defenders as well. So I have three defenders actually. I also have that the bishop, so it's very safe, and I still have room to move because I have one more defender. And that also means I have room to defend against that c5 pawn. Also, I have the d2 pawn to keep that safe, so it's not a threat in any way. E7, F6.
E7.
F6.
F6.
What to do?
E3, E5.
Let's attack that pawn. And get ready to attack that rook, of course. I do have to be a little bit careful for back rank checks, of course, with my king like this. But other than that, I'm absolutely fine at this point. She plays f6 to d6.
F6, D6, be careful.
Defending her pawn and threatening my bishop. Be careful, she says. Well, I'm not that scared. Um, mm, mm, um, just gonna defend it.
E5, E3.
So I move the queen back just to defend my my bishop. Can't do anything with that pawn yet, so not a problem.
Queen D6, F6, D6, F6.
Of course, that we have that little nice battling ram, so she needs to push that back. Fortunately, she notices, because otherwise we were attacking. Like I said, we were pushing the pawn and attacking on the queen side. It's a double-sided attack. Oh, we need to do something smart.
E3, C4.
Try something else. Keep our battling ram on the f7 pawn alive, as well as attack the c5 pawn. So that seems like a better plan than we had just before.
Queen F6, D6, F6, D6.
Again, she moves back to defend. It's just
E1, C1.
we could also do the attack on the king's side, but choosing to deal with that pawn first. And my pawn is still safe, so do a little queen trade. And then if I can make another queen, that would
Rook
be really
E8,
great.
D8.
Rook B8, D8. Okay.
E8, D8.
Okay. So rook to D8. Okay.
D5, F7.
Let's do create problems for the king. That will help our pawn probably to advance. Because now Alexandra has a problem on both sides, so she's probably not liking that very much. Sorry, Alexandra. Didn't mean to do it. Well, I did.
Queen D6 takes pawn D2.
Oh, that's
D6, D2.
Well, that is a free pawn, definitely. Let's first
H2, H3.
do something about that back rank checking idea. And per se from that, we should be able to advance our pawn and make a nice queen, hopefully.
Queen D2, E4. D2, E4.
Alexandra, do you see that my queen is also over there? It's a little odd, isn't it? That seems a little desperate. Am I gonna take that queen or defend it some other way? I can also move to a6, for example. Let's just take it.
C4, E4.
Gonna take another queen anyway. Well, c5 we'll have to take back, of course. Otherwise it would be really odd.
Pawn C5, 6, Queen B4. C5, E4. Be careful.
Of course, after this scary attack, my bishop isn't quite safe. So
C1, C7.
I'm gonna move the rook to defend both the bishop and the pawn. And there's a little discovered attack there, of course, when I move the bishop. So that should be good. Little tricks. The king doesn't have much room anymore, so
Pawn H7, H5. H7, H5.
okay, he's trying to advance a bit on that side and create a little bit of space for the king, I guess, but doesn't really help that much. There just isn't that much space, and the h7 square still isn't safe, so that's not good for him.
F7, E6.
Nice little discovered attack. And then I can take the other bishop out. Where does he move the king? Probably to h6, I guess.
King G7, F6.
f6.
G7, F6. Be careful.
Trying to attack my bishop. Well, I'm just gonna take the f5 bishop, I guess.
E6, F5.
Bishop exchange.
Careful, I am threatening to win your bishop.
I can see that. I still
Are
want
you sure?
to do that. Yes. But are you gonna take it? then I can advance my pawn by moving my rook.
King f6, take bishop f5, f6, f5.
Taking with the king. Makes some sense, I guess. Yeah, I'm just gonna
c7, c8.
make a queen. So I took, he took back, and I'm gonna create a queen over there in a moment. Either he takes or he doesn't take, but my queen will be ready, and his queen, his little b4 pawn, will never become a queen, hopefully. If he does take, I also have a check.
D1.
So that's probably why he wouldn't want to take.
D8, D1, check.
Oh, a little check, that's not a problem. I can just move to the h2 square, that's not a thing.
G1, H2.
It is getting a little crowded, but as long as he doesn't have a second queen and that b4 pawn is still far, far away from becoming a queen, then it's not really an issue. I should be winning here.
King f5, e6.
King f5 to e6.
F5, e6.
Okay.
B7, B8. Promote pawn to a queen.
Make it a queen. That's nice. So he moves his king, trying to get closer, and we just push our pawn and create a nice queen. And that queen is immediately attacking b4, so that's nice. And the rook cannot really
Pawn
defend it.
h5, h4.
h5, h4.
H5, h4.
Trying to do something on that side, but it's not really relevant anymore, I guess. I can just take the...
B8, B4.
It's not even trying to defend it anymore, so why not? Just take it. See where the king is gonna go, or maybe the rook.
King e6, f5.
e6, f5.
E6, f5.
Trying to find safety among the pawns, but they're very scattered, the pawns, so that's also not very good, I guess. Can just
B4, f8.
go for checks now, I guess. As long as I keep checking, he has to do a lot of forced moves, and I can just push the king somehow in a corner.
King f5, e6. F5, e6.
6. Okay, so he's going here. I can just do another check, I guess. Do I do a queen e8? Yeah, why not?
F8, E8.
Can take that pawn as well, maybe. Clean up a bit.
King, E6, F5, E6, F5.
I really need to find a way to push it more to the towards my king, basically. So I need to close it in a bit more. F7
E8, F7.
seems okay. Now
King,
check. We just
F5,
check.
G5.
F5, G5.
F5, G5.
Now it's really getting crowded here, I guess. Do I bring in the rook? Yeah, I bring in the rook, but
C6.
keep it a little safe. Because after I take that d6 pawn, that's also the, if I take that with the rook
D1, D6. D1, D6.
Okay, d1, d6. That's odd. I guess that's the typical desperate way in which computers are just saying, I want to resign. I can just take.
C6, D6.
Always when this happens, I start to think like, is there some really weird tactic I'm not seeing? And perhaps am I making a draw? That's the most scary thing now. Because his pawns cannot move anymore at the moment. At least
G5, H5.
that does make an option for that pawn move, but also that creates an option for checkmate. Yeah, checkmate.
F7, G6. Checkmate.
Checkmate, we won. I lose, he says. Okay. So, how did we do? Let's take a look at our stock face. I'm going to go all the way back to let's put this off. Let's go back to the start. B4 is what we played. Does stock face like that? You should. I like it. Well, that's the standard move in the Orangutan. Standard response, our main line move, and he does that. We take the queen side, which is a bit early for usually, but normally, but it's okay, I guess. And we push that e3 pawn. This is all just from the book. It's all standard. Complete textbook moves. This was that strange knight on the rim is dim situation. I bring in my queen. Well, sort of thinks that's okay. We push that pawn. He cannot go. She cannot go anywhere. Stockfish would have developed the knight apparently. But this is a more standard orangutan move, I guess. Brings in the other knight. I start pushing. He made a castle, and I develop my knights. Stockfish thinks it's equal now. We were a little bit ahead, but well, this is standard orangutan move, so I try to keep as much as I can with the standard moves. We did a little pawn exchange, we did a little rook exchange, and well, again we're at plus 0.4, so that's good. King safety, so I do that, and I start bringing in that knight that Stockfish wanted to move in more early. Well, this knight move, of course, makes a lot of sense because that pawn is not defended. Stockfish thinks Alexandra should defend that knight with the rook, with the knight, but instead she pushes the pawn, and I can safely move my my knight to an attacking position, and I can at any moment defend that, so that's also safe. And here you really see a difference starting to emerge, that little pawn push. And yeah, it's those two bishops that have been looking at each other right from the beginning. The moment that one pawn moved, that became quite a dangerous situation. I had to move my knight first, of course, but now I can attack. And that basically removes the main defender of his castle, and that means he's left with a castle with a pushed pawn. So it's not ideal. I can take the free pawn, so now I'm really a pawn ahead. That's am I already? No, I'm not a pawn ahead here yet, but I will be soon. Here we do a little pawn exchange, and I take the knight, and he takes back. I bring in the bishop, so I do have an extra defender on that square, basically. We exchange the knights, well, that's okay. And well, the nice thing here is I can just start pushing that pawn. I bring in the rook to defend the pawn. And from this moment on, I have the bishop also defending the pawn. So that's very, very good. We're at plus 5.4 here. And yeah, that pawn is just too far. Yeah, we have the little dance around the other pawn. I find this nice position for my queen, where I'm both attacking the pawn and creating that battering ram to the f7 pawn. So that's very good. Oh, you can see that Stockfish would have taken that pawn immediately. I was not that quick because I was doing that one move later. Stockfish is also looking at that pawn, but also looking at that bishop. He takes the pawn. I have to create some safety for my king, otherwise I will be in trouble. Yeah, well, here's what would have Stockfish have done at this position? Not the queen exchange. That's even for Stockfish a bit too much. Yeah, that queen move does seem slightly better. It's attacking at least the passed pawn, but I can still defend it with my queen. So also isn't doing too much. Nice thing here is that I can bring in the rook to defend both the pawn and the bishop and have the discovered check. It's at plus 9.4 at this point. So yeah, normally a human player would probably have resigned, but not Alexandra. I have discovered the deck. I can start to trade in pieces and just create a bigger and bigger example. Apparently, according to Stockfish, this is a mate in 46, so now it's a mate in 17. He's found a shorter way, but it's a forced mate from here, and that makes a lot of sense because that queen is coming. She cannot stop that queen. I move here. either if she moves away or not, doesn't really matter. The queen is gonna come. Stockfish would have taken the rook. Then I would have taken the rook with my pawn and created a queen that is checking the king. So that's also not very good. Alexandra did a little check, but pointless basically. Then starts to bring in the king, but it's also too late. I mean, the king could defend the rook and do something together, but the queen is already created and it's too late. Well, some last desperate attempts here, but with a queen and a rook, I just have too much of an advantage. I can safely take that pawn. And now there's really nothing left to do anymore for black, except dance with a little king, get checks. That would also be a very nice check, perhaps. But I brought in my rook in a somewhat simpler way. Stockfish would now check my king, but that's pointless, of course, because I can just take that rook then. Alexandra tries to defend with the rook, but it's not really defending because I can just take it. And now it's a mate in one, and it's done. And I did take that pawn, and it was a checkmate. So that's the orangutan. If you want to learn the orangutan, please check out also my book. It has many of these little responses, and also this is, for example, the gambit line, and you can just see if one player does this, you have to do that, and everything. It's full of little nice little diagrams. The diagrams are a bit small. I've heard some comments from people that said, oh, the diagrams are so small, but otherwise I can just not fit as much on one page, so I have to make them small. But it's a large book, so it should be okay to read. What I did also in this book is add percentages at the beginning at how many players, according to the Lichess database engine, do a certain move. So the first line is done by 50%, so that E5 response to the B4 pawn is done by 50% of all players. So it gives you some idea of which lines are more important to study than others. I hope you liked the video. If you like and subscribe. And good luck with playing the orangutan. Bye!